What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. I'm going to talk about some big numbers that came out involving NIO sales, which are looking quite decent. Not the strongest compared to what we saw in January, but that's what we typically expect. I'm sorry, not the strongest compared to what we saw in December, but that's what we typically expect in December, a slight sales decline month over month. Despite that, compared to the previous January, it's still a nice amount of growth, and I hope that they continue to see nice growth moving forward. But with that being said, I'm going to talk about what's happening with NIO in the markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, and the offer ends very soon at the end of March. So as far as NIO is going, we're trying to ride this trend line up, making higher highs and higher lows, which is quite good. But there's been a slight decline after the news came out about President Trump's tariffs that he wants to raise on Canada, Mexico, and China. Now, with these tariffs being imposed, we do have some new updates that have come out. Just so you guys know that for the US, 3 of their biggest trade partners are Canada, Mexico, and China. Trump wants to increase tariffs at about 25% on most Canadian and Mexican goods. And then for Canada, there's actually a clause that says there's going to be a 10% tariffs on just like natural gas and petroleum. So it's going to be a little bit lower for oil. And then for China, they want to increase tariffs by 10%. So pretty insane stuff. If anything, guys, this was a little bit negative because of the negative effects it's going to have on GDP. And also it's going to have some negative effects on not to mention our overall trade, how other countries end up pricing things. It's going to be a little bit negative for inflation. So there's been a lot of negative talk about that. Justin Trudeau, who is the Prime Minister of Canada, has come out and he made the announcement that with this being said and done, Canada is now imposing 25% tariffs affecting $155 billion or Canadian dollars worth of goods. So now they're trying to retaliate, and we're expecting to see Mexico do the same thing. So we'll see how this goes, guys. We're now starting to see this tariff war that's going on between these countries in North America, and it's going to likely continue like this. There's also talk about the EU getting involved, and we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, we'll see how much revenue the US makes from this, how this could, benefit American citizens. Will this really offset the hardships coming with higher prices and higher, problems, not to mention, tensions and factors like that? Will Trump be able to negotiate for different deals with this? We'll have to just wait and see, guys. There's a lot of ifs and buts. So we'll see how it goes. But I do want to give you guys the warning that we're going to see another inflationary increase in the US as a result of this. And we're seeing, other countries that are continuing to retaliate. So it's not that great so far. As far as NIO goes, just know that they got their sales report at 37.9% of an increase in January for 2025, which is not bad. If anything, we're seeing some nice growth, and we're very, very excited about this. It's very awesome to see that they grew compared to January of 2024, with it reaching a total of about 685,000 deliveries. Looking right over here, you guys can see the numbers. We had 685,000 deliveries as of January 31st, 2025 in total, and we saw an increase of about 37.9% year over year. The company delivered about 13,863 vehicles in January 2025. And then with these numbers, that's a lot better than what we saw back in 2024. So it's a nice increase. But compared to the 30 plus thousand deliveries we got in December, it's obviously a decrease. That's not really a surprise. Typically, this is what happens for the next month. That's no surprise whatsoever. So what would the reaction be? I'd say that we'd get a so-so reaction to this. It's not the strongest report, but it's not that weak either. So we'll see how it goes for them. Besides that, Goldman Sachs maintains their sell rating. Nothing's really changing from here. For news involving the markets, the market is bearish right now amidst these new tariffs, and then the fact that Canada wants to do the same thing back to the US. So that could lead to some downside because of how it's going to affect American businesses. But we'll have to see where the market bases. Tomorrow at 9:45 a.m., we have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. Then at 10 a.m., we have the ISM Manufacturing PMI, new orders and prices all coming out. So we'll see what this leads to. So please be very patient nonetheless. On top of this, on Monday, we have Palantir announcing their earnings. On Tuesday, we have PayPal, AMD, and Alphabet. On Wednesday, we have Uber, Disney, and Ford. And then on Thursday, we have others such as like Amazon all announcing earnings, so get ready for those. And then on top of this, the Fear and Greed Index is currently at neutral, stuck in the middle, not really changing much. So we'll see what this leads to. Looking at the market, I do see a risk of some downside, especially because of these tariffs. I think this could negatively affect NIO as well. So NIO is going to be testing this trend line at 4.28. If this doesn't hold, we could be dipping closer to about the 4.2s. So please be prepared for that just to be safe, guys. There might be a small dip coming. Looking at SPY, this is already losing the 600 area, which is not the best of signs. The main support now is at 598.9, which is where we currently are. That's our daily 50 EMA, I believe. And if that fails us, we could be dipping towards the 595 area near the 200 EMA. So there's going to be a risk of us dipping to the mid 590s. We'll see if that ends up being the case looking at these different factors, but please keep that in mind. QQQ also has a risk of some more downside. We need to get back above 520 or else we could be tipping closer to like 518. If that doesn't hold, we're looking for 515. We'll see if we bounce off that or not, but there's a risk of a little bit more downside. ES is at 60.65. It might be dipping a little bit more amidst these tariffs. We're looking for 60.50 and eventually 60, basically 60.50 as our next, or 60.40, sorry, as our next potential target. For NQ, we saw support right here around the 21,500 area. If that fails us, we could be dipping closer to about 21,400. For Nvda, we're dipping right here. We have this basically downtrend right over here. We want to see if we could get back above 120 to bounce. Otherwise, it's going to be at risk of retesting 117. Tesla's in a range. We'll have to see if we hold this trend line of support. If not, we could be looking for a smaller dip with these tariffs, coming. So watch 400 to see if that holds or not. If it doesn't hold, we could be dipping towards 395. So please keep that level in mind. For Aapl, we're looking for support at 234. If it doesn't hold us, we could be dipping closer to about the 230 area. For a few more, we happen to have AMD. AMD is looking a bit more bearish. We have a gap to fill, so we could be dipping closer to about 114. For Amazon, Amazon's dipping here. We could be looking for support at 236. If that fails us, we could be dipping a lot more. We'll see if we bounce off this or not. Otherwise, this double top could lead to a little bit more downside, and we could be looking for a move back down to about 230 flat. And as Amazon has earnings this week, so we'll see how that goes. Meta might be dipping closer to about the 20 EMA at 676. We'll see if we bounce off that. Microsoft is dipping as well. Watch 412 to be tested. We'll see if we bounce or not off of that. And then Google, it's turning a little bit. It has earnings this week. It might dip to about 202, and we'll see if we get a bounce. It's still very resilient. That being said, guys, the market looks a bit more bearish after this tariff news, so please be prepared for some more potential downside. NIO may also dip a little bit more, so watch and see how things end up going. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I really appreciate you guys so much for watching this video. NIO might see a bit more downside towards the 4.2s or below. I don't want that to happen, but that's what this is favoring, at least thus far, so please keep that in mind. We're seeing a little bit of weakness, at least on the chart, as we're losing this wedge right here. So we might be looking for a dip towards these lower levels. So as far as Nvda goes, this might see a little bit more downside. And then, looking back at NIO, the same thing could be going on. We're also losing this support right over here. I think that there's a good chance we come back down to the support and we lose this support as well. So I think that this may continue to fall all the way down towards the 4.2s. Unfortunately, guys, get ready for some weakness with this tariff news. Not the best so far, especially as countries are retaliating. NIO's deliveries are not the strongest, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that dip, and we'll see how things end up going. This is just a temporary move, guys. It's not going to last forever, so I thank you for listening. Please have a good day, and peace out.